So, when you hit that button to go live, well, actually, the question is, do you hit the button to go live? I still know a lot of people who would like to do live streams, Facebook Lives, TikTok, Instagram, wherever it is that their platform of choice, and they're still not doing it because they're too worried, they're too nervous about public speaking. So I'm running another free webinar this week. If you're watching it in real time, it's taking place tomorrow, and you've got two opportunities, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, if you'd like to join me. So I've run a couple so far. So I did one on imposter syndrome, because I know that is one of the big things that keeps people stuck in terms of the who am I to ... So ran one on imposter syndrome. That was great fun. Also ran one on what do you do if you take the plunge, you press the button, you go live, or you say yes to a speaking engagement, and you're there just about to walk on stage, you're there in front of your audience, and you make a mistake. So I ran one about what can you do to course correct in real time, and actually bring the audience on side and have them work with you on that as well. So we ran that one, and the one that I'm going to be running this time round. And actually, when I put this picture up, just notice, how do you feel about this image? And how would you feel if you were the person on stage having to connect with that many people and be up in front of them and in the spotlight? So the next one I'm running, the one I'm running tomorrow, if you're watching this in real time, is how to keep your audience engaged. That the little pink person on screen, that's me. And I was doing a section for Psychologies magazine. I was one of their media experts, and so I would do press interviews for them, comments, if a story had broken and the press, radio, TV wanted commentary, I would be one of the media experts that would go forward and comment on the issue. And this was speaking at Kensington Olympia in London. So for those of you in the US, that's one of our convention centers. And I don't know, there's 2,500 people or something in that stage. And I blocked it a bit with the banner, but if the banner wasn't there, you could see that people were standing up in the aisles all the way up the back. They were blocking the walkways to listen to this particular talk and presentation. And people were engaged from start to finish. And there's a backstory to this one as well, which the audience, of course, were not aware. I wasn't supposed to be on stage that early. But what happened was the editor of the magazine, Psychologies magazine, was going to be speaking first. Then there was a psychologist who was speaking before me, and I was going to be coming on third. But about 40 minutes or so, because they should have been there well before, about 40 minutes or so, we were due to go live. Nothing to do with me, because I said I was going on last. So I was like, plenty of time. We got word that they were not in the building. And actually, a message had come through when they were, so if you're on London Underground, there are bits of the Underground where you're actually out in open air. So they managed to send a text message to say they were stuck on the Underground. They were running late. Could Marilyn go on first? Now, with a big show like that, everything is already set up weeks in advance. So all of the slide decks are set up, all of the sounds and the visuals, everything's set. So I then had to run over to the AV guy, say, I'm so sorry, we're going to have to change everything. So my slides, let's look through. So we're looking through, trying to find and go, right, this one, you're going to have to bring this forward and put this here and do this here and do this here. And then I'm waiting. I'm saying, now, none of this is going to happen if they turn up. So we get to the point, I go back and look about 10 minutes before we get due to go live, and there's only like half a dozen people there. I'm like, oh, phew. It doesn't really matter if we start a little bit later. I want to hold out and see. Went back 5 minutes. There's like 30 people. Like, no big deal. So if the AV isn't as smooth as it would have been because of the last minute change, no problem. So I then start this talk and presentation, and it, starts filling up as people hear what I'm sharing. I'm about 2 minutes to the end of my presentation, and I'd said to the AV guy, if they don't show up, I told him which slide to leave on just as a holding slide. And I said, I will just carry on and I will just do the whole slot myself, because that's fine. And they'd said, please do that, because you don't want to leave an empty stage when something is meant to be happening. And I was about 2 minutes from the end of my presentation. I looked beyond the audience and I could see coming down the aisle like a rocket was the editor of Psychology's magazine and the psychologist, because they were traveling in together. So I just kind of gave them the nod, gave the nod to the AV guy that they're here. So wrapped up, waited until I could see that they were ready to come on stage, and then said thank you to the audience, you've been wonderful, and leave the stage. But seriously, if you're nervous about speaking and that sort of thing happens to you, if you haven't got your wits about you, because it potentially gets you really flustered. You could be all over the place. Oh my God. And then you're not even focusing on your presentation, because potentially you could then be thinking, oh, what am I going to do if they don't turn up? What am I going to say? How am I going to fill another hour? Da, 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 da. Of course, I like public speaking. I teach and train and coach on the subject, have been for the last 23 years. So none of that was going on in my head. But I know if you don't like public speaking, that's a potential disaster situation. And it would be very understandable for someone to come off stage and go, my God, that was awful. And you haven't done your best work. But I was like, look, if I'm going to have to fill this whole time, we better have a rocking time, and I better keep this audience engaged. So I'm going to be talking about that in the free webinar tomorrow. Now, it's part of the Fearless Public Speaking program that I'm putting together. So if you are already joining us, you will know all about this, but I'm going to show you some processes, some strategies, some systems, some techniques, many of which you can do within 5 minutes. So for example, if you're someone, when you're asked to speak, to present, to give a presentation, you spend the majority of the time looking at a blank screen or a blank sheet of paper going, oh my God, I have got a process for you that takes 5 minutes, and you will go from blank sheet of paper to foundation talk outline. 5 minutes works every time. I used it again last year. I coach at University of Oxford. I've been doing that for a couple of years now, coaching their fellows during the summer. They invited me last summer to go down to Keble College. We're in Keble, the church. If you've ever been, it's beautiful. And they asked me to run a presentation skills masterclass. So I did that exact exercise. Everyone was handed a piece of paper. Everyone was handed a pen. I gave them the instructions. I set my timer. I said go. 5 minutes later, I then went back into the audience and I invited people up on stage to go through their presentation outline. You would never know that 5 minutes before they had a blank sheet of paper. So we're going to be sharing things like that with you, because what I want it to be is very quick and simple. Yes, this can be actually quite a complex topic and subject. One of the things I know I'm really good at is breaking down complexity, making it simple, very straightforward, putting it into bite-sized chunks so that you can easily do it. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing on the program. In terms of, can it really work? Well, it's going to be online. This is a testimonial from one of my clients. Now, what's interesting about this one, she took the class, the old version of this program, which is a one-day video webinar. I wasn't even there. I was on holiday in Gran Canaria, sitting by the pool on the sun lounger, reading something on my Kindle. A message popped up on my screen, Facebook message, and it was from Rachel saying, I've just spent the day with you. And I'm like, So, tip my sunglasses, and I'm looking around the pool going, well, have Rachel and her family arrived? And are they at the same resort as me and Gina? So I'm looking around, couldn't see anyone. So then go back to the message, and she said, I've just been taking your one-day workshop. So she's taking this in the UK. It was actually snowing at that point. We've got sunshine in Gran Canaria. This is what she said about taking that class on her own without me there. Now, during the Fearless Public Speaking program, the lovely thing about it, it's running live. So there will be some pre-recorded stuff. We're going to have some live, the workshop will be live. We're going to have live Q&A sessions. So any problems, challenges, bring what's on your desk. What are you working on at the moment? What are you designing? What are you presenting? You can bring all of that to the table. We'll be doing that live. This is from someone who, as I said, did a pre-recorded workshop. So let me tell you what she said. It's probably quite small on your device. She says, so she had a talk coming up in the January. So she did this in the January of 2020. So we went on holiday just before lockdown. what? 'Cause we were going to leave it till later in the year, but we're like, actually, no, let's just go straight after Christmas. So that's what we did. So we're on holiday. Rachel's in the UK. She says, for those of you who are asking about my big talk in January and shared my joy that I was so happy with how it had gone, Marilyn Devonish is the awesome lady that enabled me to breathe, think, and talk all at the same time. And now you can do it too. Whether you get nervous in social settings, on social media, speaking in one-to-one settings, small groups, or big stages, these techniques work. I'm tapping into what I learn almost every day now. What's holding you back from sharing your passions or knowledge? And that's Rachel CK, educator, natural life coach, awesome mama, and oil lover. And it says oil lover because she does the doTERRA oils. If you ever need any of those, Rachel's your girl. She's on Facebook. She does more Facebook lives than I do now. And not long after this, she was offered a radio show, and I was one of the first guests on her radio show. That was from taking the class online. So even if you cannot make all of the live sessions, if you can't make the live workshop, it still works. And we've got a lot more that's going into this one as well. So I've put some quick reference guides together. So if you don't want to sit and if you don't want to attend the workshop, you don't want to go through the video webinar modules, you can, some of them are 1-pagers, so they're infographics. So I've created one yesterday, which is the setup process, 7 steps to get yourself ready and aligned. I did another one the other day. It's 3 pages, and one of them is the intro page, and one of those is the outro page. So actually it's 4 pages. So you've got 2 pages of tips, and that's how do you prepare to go live online. So I'll be preparing those guides as we go along based on the things that you're asking, the questions that are coming up, and where I think, oh, actually it'll be a really good idea to just have a quick reference guide about that. There'll also probably be some audio sound bites as well. If I think of something as we go through, maybe someone poses a question and we're not doing a Q&A at that point, so I may just answer the question, so you get those audio sound bites as well. But essentially everything that Rachel did and going into a lot more detail. So if you would like to join us, easiest way, go to my main website, which is transformationstm.com, TRANCE, F for Freddie, so FORMATIONS, TM as in trademark, so transformationstm.com. For those of you watching the video, it's going along the ticker tape, it will be there in a moment, but go to that site, press on the red What's New button, a panel will slide out. Have a look down, because I've just added the thing about the free webinar and the photo reading anniversary. So scroll down, you'll find information about the free webinar. If you would like to join us, you'll also find some information about the actual workshop itself. So if you would like to join us, that will be absolutely amazing. In terms of what we are covering, there's a lot of stuff. Hold on, here we go. All of this is on the website. I'm not going to read this to you. It's too small for you to read. But if you go to the website for the Fearless Public Speaking Program, all of the information is there in terms of what are we covering, what can you get out of it, what are some of the benefits, the pricing. Now, for those of you who came to the imposter syndrome webinar or the webinar about making a mistake, that price, the 349 and the 497 is no longer valid. Those have expired. Those are pre-launch, but the launch prices are now up. So you'll find all of that information on the website. But when you land, you'll see it all there in terms of testimonials from clients. You just get a flavor of what to expect. I will share with you the things that I've learned over the last 23 years that I've been speaking. Now, for those of you who go, well, it's all right for you, if we have never met before, I was terrified of public speaking right up until the age of 32. So I had it in my head, that's it. That's the way I am. I'm very quiet. I'm very shy. I'm off the chart introvert in terms of the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So even if you're quiet, shy, I was also lacking in confidence, had very low self-esteem. So if you told me back then that this is what I would be doing and I would absolutely love doing, I would have laughed you out of town, quite literally. So even if that's your starting point, I know, not just because I've done it myself, but I've trained thousands of people and coached thousands of people over the years to do exactly the same. And one of my clients, I remember when we were doing a breakthrough session, and I said, there'll come a time where you absolutely love being on stage. She just laughed and went, no way. A couple of weeks later, no, actually, probably about just under 3 months, something like that. I invited her to my private members club. Gary Lineker was doing a talk. Funny enough, he was in the news recently. A lot of controversy. That's now, I believe, resolved. He's back on Match of the Day. So I'm sitting in pretty much in the front row, and I'm saving this seat. Oh my God, and it's quite a small venue. Cannot tell you the number of people who came up and tried to sit in that seat. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm waiting for someone. I'm sorry, I'm waiting for someone. I'm sorry, I'm waiting for someone. It was like, oh my God. She sent me a message. And this is the client who was like hated being on stage, hated being the face of her business, did not want to do that role at all. But of course, it's very important because she's created the business from the inside out. Sends me a message saying, hi, Marilyn, so sorry, I'm running late. I was doing a talk today. There were so many questions. I wanted to stay and answer them. And this is someone who was really terrified of questions because you can't control questions. You have got no idea what people are going to ask you. It's an unknown quantity. So you can't necessarily prepare for it. And I looked at the message and I laughed and I thought, okay, when she came, I said, do you realize what you just said there? Do you remember a few weeks ago, I said, you will get to the point where you love being on stage because you love what you do and you love your business. And it was like, wow, she hadn't even noticed because it's pretty seamless. So if you would like to join us for the Fearless Public Speaking Program, the launch is coming to an end soon. Oftentimes when I do my programs, it's like you can join at any time. I'm doing this one a bit differently. So once we get underway, you will not be able to join us. The doors will close. I'm sorry. So if you know that public speaking, whether that's speaking on stage, speaking online, doing podcasts, webinars, or it may just simply be, and it's not even simple if you're terrified of public speaking, it may just be showing up at meetings, speaking up at work. You might not even be leading the meeting, but I have got clients who so scared, got all these great ideas. They do not share them. They'll sit, I don't know if you've ever had that situation. You're sitting in a meeting, have all these ideas, you don't share them. Somebody comes up with like a little smidgen of your idea. It's half baked and yours is almost fully cooked. And everybody's going, oh my God, that's amazing. Wow, wow, wow. And you're like, but man, I just had that idea and I had a better one. You can't say anything now because it will seem as though you're jumping on the bandwagon, trying to rain on their parade. That's not good sportsmanship. And then what happens, it's not even that. When it comes to promotion, when it comes to projects, when it comes to being put forward for things, even if that's what you want to do, you have aspirations of moving up and through the organization or even out of the organization, what's going to go down on your letter of recommendation or not, as the case may be, and the discussions behind closed doors, most likely at the interview, will be they don't really contribute. They're not a team player. They don't have the ability to lead, because I've heard people say that before, and they know, well, some of them know that, others of them, it's the penny drops when they realize how that holding back, sitting quietly, never contributing, never saying anything, how it doesn't seem to matter at the time. You just go, oh, got away with another meeting. But actually in the longer term, the consequences of that can be career changing and life altering if you're wanting to progress. It's not always about being on stage, but if you know that this is a skill that you would like to improve upon, it may be that you're starting from scratch, you've never done it before. It may be that you are a seasoned presenter and this is something you do on a regular basis and you want to next level your skills. Come and join us. Come and join us. So we go live next month. If you're watching this in real time, it's now March, so we start in April. It will be wonderful to have you. Go to the main website, transformationstm.com. Click the red button, have a little scroll through, but you'll see something that talks about the Fearless Public Speaking Program. If you're on my e-newsletter list, you've had all of the details. You also have the details about the early booking price, the pre-launch, the extra discounts for those of you on my e-newsletter list. And if you're not on the list, put yourself on the list, because when I do launch things, that's where I tend to launch them first. And there are preferential prices that go to the e-newsletter list. There is also a bonus for those of you booking this month. What I'm going to do, a pivotal part of being able to prepare for presentations is not having it suck all of your time away and take ages, because many people, they agonize over their blank sheet of paper. They agonize over what to say. They really take ages doing the research and the preparation and getting their ideas together. And one of the things that has really helped me is the photo reading. So for those of you who are booking this month, so March, we are in March now, March 2023. In terms of date stamping. If you're watching this at a later time, in a couple of years, when I've got a bit more time, I might open this up again, so you can always check and see what's on the website or drop me an email. But for those of you who are booking during this month of March, what I'm going to do is include as a free bonus day one of the photo reading training. So you get, well, I was talking about, so excuse me, the tangerine technique in the Facebook Live that I did earlier. So you'll get to experience the tangerine technique, go through that. You'll also get the first overview of the photo reading whole mind system, and that will help you immensely in preparing, both in terms of going through the data and getting yourself physically and mentally prepared and in alignment. So that's a bonus if you're signing up during March. If you're watching this outside of that, but you still have time to sign up for the program, it's just that won't be included, but you're welcome to join us. So if you know someone who could benefit from maybe finding their voice or amplifying their voice, or you know that they're holding themselves back, or you're holding yourselves back in terms of your work, your career, your progression, and speaking and presenting and putting your ideas forwards is part of that, then feel free to send them the link to the site, send them to the website, show them this video. That will be absolutely amazing. And I really look forward to those of you who are joining us for the program. All of the information, you'll be ending up when you click on the link to at the new Zenler site, and all of the information is there. There are the different pricing options. I can't really show you the price. It's going to look like this, but it won't be this because the 497 isn't there anymore. But when you land on the new Zenler site, you can either scroll down through all the information, etc. What we're covering, what are the benefits, how does if you don't already know, how does public speaking benefit you? Are you in the 77%? I really hope you're not. So all of that is on the site. But when you land on the site, if you click on the enroll now, it automatically takes you to the bottom to the pricing pit. It's going to look different to this because the prices have been changed and updated, but it takes you to the enroll now. It will take you to the pricing, and you've either got the option of the VIP, which includes all the live Q&A sessions, the bonus modules, etc., or you can do the basic program where you get 1 year access. With the VIP, it's lifetime access, so you have a choice of what you want to do, but it will take you right down to the bottom of it if you want to join us. But yeah, if you know someone who would benefit from these skills, who would be a good fit, for those of you who know me, you know how I work. It's fast and furious, but very transformational and life-changing. Then feel free to give them the details. Thank you for watching. I will catch you later and really look forward to working with some of you on this program. If the speaking thing, the presenting thing, whether it's workshops, podcasts, or meetings, is on your agenda to do this year, I will catch you all later. Thank you for watching.